Hey everybody, welcome back to another day of the vExpert Daily. So I got a few new guys on the panel today to have a little conversation with, talk about some of the announcements, see what's going on. We have a few more seats. You can't get the front row, unfortunately. I'm sorry. It's been taken, clearly. So come on over, join us. If you have questions from the crowd, you're welcome to throw them out. These guys like getting heckled. So as we always do, I'll kick it off. For those of you who don't know, my name is Mike Letschin. I'm the field CTO with Nexenta. But I have been doing this for too many years to count now. I think we're up to 8. I think that's what we decided. This was the 8th year we've done this. So first off, we'll do intros. So kick it off, Julian. You're not, nobody can hear you. Nope, still nobody can hear you.
Hello, hello, hello. Is that better? Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Julian Wood, Julian_Wood on the Twitters, and I blog at woodedwork.com. And I'm from a VMware perspective, I'm a customer and try to make computers work.
Are you having any success?
Sometimes,
Hopefully.
Not too much success, because then I'm out of a job if they don't break.
I thought our job was to make them not work sometimes.
We do our best.
I am Nigel Hickey, Houston vMug leader, I'm an EUC consultant out of Houston area.
It'd be weird if it was someplace else.
That would be weird somewhere else, right? That was kind of weird. Allow me to introduce myself. Allow myself to introduce myself. So I'm vCenter Nerd on Twitter. You can follow me there, hopefully, and I also blog at nigelhickey.com.
I'm Marc Crawford, St. Louis vMug leader. You can find me on Twitter at UberTechGeek, and I'm a senior systems engineer at NJVC. And I don't blog anymore, so you can just contact me on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't do too many blogs. I get to put on my personal one anymore either. I feel like company keeps grabbing that.
Yeah, there's so many people that blog nowadays, and there are just a lot of people who are doing it better. So yeah, I didn't want to get lost in the crowd anymore. I just felt like I was not really wasting my time. I learned things from it, but yeah, there were just so many people out there that are doing it better. I just wanted to use my time to do more other things
So most of you have been to more than one of these VMworlds. How many of you guys been to? Do you remember your number? No? None of you remember?
6, I think. Or number of VMworlds.
Yeah.
I think I'm on to 6.
This will be my 3rd.
This is my 5th.
Okay, so you've seen quite a few between you. What's different this year? What do you think is different this year versus the previous ones?
Vegas, baby.
That's not different. It was 5. Oh, well, you've been to 6. You were here 5 years ago.
No, I'm cheating because I was in Copenhagen 5 years ago, so yeah, that doesn't quite work.
Well, I didn't get to go to Copenhagen, so got me on that one.
Vegas. This is my first Vegas. I miss San Francisco, unfortunately. Super expensive, so it's cheaper to be here, I suppose. But to me, it's a little more overwhelming. It just seems the hallways are just so cluttered with folks. I know running back and forth between Moscone is kind of complex, but I thought that was bad. But coming in the hallway, just going to kind of run down is
Was that because you have to walk a mile and a half to get anywhere?
Yeah, probably. At least 6 miles a day.
Yeah.
At least my Fitbit tells me.
Yeah. Anything different for you think?
Yeah, I think the same thing. Yeah, just having to walk through the casino just to get back to the convention center.
Is that a plus or a minus?
It's a minus. I'm not a gambler, and I hate smoking. So anywhere I go, they just have that smoke smell. When I get back, I wash my clothes 5 times, just get that smell away. So I don't know. I mean, there's lots of cool things to do in Vegas, but the whole gambling and smoking thing just really irritates me.
So we had some new announcements this morning, obviously going through the keynote. I think maybe we'll dig into a couple of them and see what the view is on. I mean, there was a bunch. Yan Bing got up there and talked about vSAN and for the vSAN encryption and that. What's your guys' take on what VMware is doing as they spread out? We talked a little bit yesterday on this about them kind of eating into their ecosystem a little bit as they buy companies and take piece. Is this another one of those avenues, or is it something that people just needed to have because they wanted VMware's name on it?
I think vSAN really is the foundation of the SDDC. You need networking, you need storage, and you need compute. And for VMware to have a whole integrated story, they had to have a virtual SAN or some sort of storage platform. I'm actually hugely impressed with what vSAN has done in a pretty short period of time. Yeah, competitors and possibly customers as well can poke holes in some of the kind of things. The announcements today of encryption and that kind of thing, yeah, it's just another feature that adds to the list. I don't think it's going to be groundbreaking. But what VMware really has done is sort of solidified in customers' minds that HCI is a real thing that you can deploy. Because yeah, sure, Nutanix is far more mature and has as a product that we've been selling for more years, and you have SimpliVity, and you have other software players. You've got Maxtra and even Scale Computing, although that doesn't run vSphere. But when customers see now for the first time the rate of adoption of vSAN, they, I think, start to get it that hyperconverged is a thing, and my personal opinion is it's a great thing, and that does then validate companies like Nutanix and SimpliVity, and they may have features that you prefer or that vSAN doesn't have, but the fact that VMware has its own foundation of SDDC being a hyper-converged product, it means you're happy to look at a number of vendors.
So do you think the rate of adoption is a true rate of adoption on deployment, or is it aided by the fact that they give it away with some of their other product suites?
Probably all of it. I don't think it really matters. Every company is going to lie through their teeth about their adoption. Are we looking at 3-node clusters? Are we looking at 3-node vSAN clusters or 3,000 vSAN clusters? Who knows? I mean, they're just getting the message out there.
What do you guys feel though in the market, in the field?
Yeah, I think the same. I think it's out there. Yeah, you get it for free, but I personally see people getting it for free and not even realize that they have it. Right. So they're not using it. So
do they count as one of the adopted?
Well, that's a good question. Do they count as an adopter because they purchase a license? I think someone needs to answer that probably from VMware for us.
You think they don't? You think Horizon Advanced customers do not count in the adoption number?
Matt Helpstab says they do not count.
I had heard the opposite of that. I had heard they still counted. Yeah.
I would think so.
That would require being the year of VDI.
It's not?
Oh, maybe I was wrong.
Oh, wait.
Sorry.
It's the year of the container.
Yeah,
did you miss that? Yeah.
Yeah, still. I put food in containers. That's what I do. Enough of containers. Yeah, I think vSAN, and I personally like it. I think it's a good product. I think it's nice that it's baked into the design of the SDC center, software-defined data center. I believe also that, like I said, I don't think people are using it enough. I see it in the field. Folks don't realize they have the license. I also feel that sales guys, not to bash on my sales guys, but I think that they don't adopt it enough or don't know that it's out there enough to maybe encourage that customer to use it if the use case fits. So
I think that's a really good point on it. That the field sales teams don't seem to, they're very used to selling core infrastructure.
Exactly.
And you add that in and they don't even, half the time don't want to talk about it, and they don't want to go compete against a storage company that guy is probably a buddy of theirs that they've had for 15 years.
Sure, because
that's selling.
I just sold him EMC, so everything's cool. Why do we need vSAN? Well, a different use case, it probably will fit that customer possible. So.
One other thing I think it does great with customers is charging extra for all-flash version. Come on, really, that's just penny pinching. And when the all-flash version is the only one that has dedupe and compression, you're paying more for that. Like, come on, don't. I think that's just a bit cheeky.
Really? You don't think?
Yeah.
How else? If they sell by capacity, then your flash numbers are so much smaller. They're not going to get it.
Yeah, but you pay.
They got to get the money somewhere.
That's fine, but paying extra based on the hardware you have, you don't pay extra for vSphere if you've got faster CPUs. Just my opinion. I think.
Fair.
But I think back to your original question about encryption. In the workspace that I work in the government workspace, so encryption is a big thing, and a lot of those customers are really excited about that announcement. But
why would somebody go with this brand new encryption on vSAN versus going with a High Trust or a Gemalto or any number of
I don't know
companies that encryption's not an easy thing.
Exactly. Yeah. We've done quite a few proof of concepts with high trust. So, yeah, that's what a lot of the customers I know that are using. So, but yeah, if VMware comes out with their own good solution, then yeah, that'll
Why
be
not?
good.
I mean, they do have RSA sitting in their back pocket a little bit.
Exactly.
So, I mean, there's some history there.
I suppose if it's a good enough solution and one of your requirements is encryption, if that just ticks the box, it's going to sell some more vSAN.
Yeah, I think it definitely is going to check the box on the RFPs. So I think the other question on that, though, is you look. Most people say, "Oh, I'm 85%, I'm 90% virtualized." Yeah, there are plenty that are 100% virtualized now. But to me, that if you're 90% virtualized, that means you have one workload that you're not virtualizing. Most likely, that is your core important workload that needs to be encrypted. How does that help with vSAN then being encrypted?
Well, vSAN can't run as a SAN as well, so you can't have a as nice SCSI target. Other companies do allow it, so yeah, you're stuck. You then have to have some other all-flash fancy array, or not an all-flash array. You've probably got a VNX lying in the cupboard, seeing that's your most important thing, which isn't virtualized yet. It's running on your oldest tin, possibly.
So you've got vSAN licensing. You can't use the vSAN storage outside of the host that you're licensed for. So now if I've got 10 hosts that I've got vSAN on, 10 more hosts that I don't, do I now have to change the way I do all my clusters to make sure that I'm not moving VMs between all of those? Because, oh, that machine's encrypted, it was sitting on vSAN, I can't put it on 10 of my hosts.
Not sure, but you still can have vSAN hosts pointing out to other storage. So you can have another external array, or your physical box talking to another external array. You don't have to have vSAN for everything. I think if that is
Right.
one of your
Yeah,
requirements.
I think that's the point. You don't need it for everything. Your point is valid.
But your
You're getting
encryption's on the
licenses,
vSAN. That's the
it's
spot you're-
encrypted, and now you have to come up with another way to protect your piece that's not incorporated in your virtualization.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's not a hook to. I mean, we heard a lot about the cross-cloud platforms and stuff like that yesterday, and then again today. So hooks outside of this spot. This one seems to be missing that hook.
Currently, I believe.
Yeah, because I thought they were going to talk more about encryption, not just for vSAN, but all the vSphere products. Yeah, because I mean, why are we going to do just encryption just on vSAN? All your vSphere hosts need to have encryption.
Yeah. So another thing that I heard as I was flipping through the Twitters this morning was a patch to NSX that if you upgraded it, it broke. Seems kind of an issue on your networking. But I think it really goes right to, we really are transitioning to truly software defined. This is all software and there's bugs. I mean, what's your guys' take on something like that, and how much impact that can have on an infrastructure?
Well, I'm sure you shouldn't have put that patch in right after the announcement. Step one. Step two, you
Test it in the lab first.
test it in the lab, exactly.
We can't fix stupid. Nothing we can do
No,
about
you
that.
can't. You can't. And people like to click on stuff, so even us IT guys.
I mean, are you having an impact of truly we're seeing that shift that everything is becoming software defined regardless? Or do you think people are still, you know what, I want that hardware there just so that this doesn't happen to me?
Hardware still has bugs, but I think the issue more on the NSX side is it's such a groundbreaking change to your infrastructure. Compare it to something like vSAN. To introduce vSAN into your environment, have 3 or 4 hosts, start vSAN and start migrating to it. NSX taking over basically your entire network. You've got this complication of how you're going to manage your physical endpoints. You've got Cisco, you've got Juniper already in there, you've got F5/NetScalers as load balancers. Ripping all of that out and trying to move things onto NSX is, I think, a difficult thing for customers to do. I'm not quite sure they know how to get started.
I don't know how to get started.
For the longest time, we couldn't even download it, so.
Well, that's it, and it's I mean, I don't think there's been a single demo in all of VMworld that hasn't really mentioned NSX, so it's obviously pivotal and at the heart of what VMware is trying to do is get this NSX tentacle into everything, and it does look great. I must say, if I can put a VM, or I can tag a particular VM, and if that VM's running in Azure and it's talking to a container service on Amazon, and I've got an on-prem database, and simply by adding a tag in NSX, all the firewall rules get done. To me as a customer, I'm like, that looks cool, because manually looking through 4 different firewall rules with 3 different vendors is a pain. So yeah, I hope I hear good things about NSX. I feel that the adoption is really slow because it's difficult to get going.
So you started with saying they shouldn't have installed it right away. But
Well,
on
at least
servers, you got servers, it's easy to do, and people are used to having a test dev, a QA, a production environment.
Right.
Do you have switches like that normally in your infrastructure? Because most people I don't. They've
No,
got
not necessarily.
one infrastructure for their switching.
You had that old switch from 5 years ago that you test stuff with, right?
Yeah. I'm not putting NSX on that. So
So your point again is valid. I'm not real sure how that has to happen, but I think there has to be micro-segmentation of micro-segmentation, possibly, to test that stuff, away from your production environment before you're patching it or before you're setting those tags and getting that traffic going there. But there's also a huge conversation that has to happen if you are going to rip and replace, or you are going to take apart some of that old network and put NSX in. I believe it's a good product. I see a lot of good things out in Twitter and the white papers that come out for that stuff. I just don't know how to even grasp, to begin taking that stuff apart. I mean, maybe there's a good way, maybe some, documentation on that. But me as not touching it, and as a Horizon guy, I want to learn it in Horizon. I want to see it work with Horizon and EUC. But I'm still confused on how I can sell that angle or give that to a customer to say this is a better way to do it.
So kind of coming off of the keynote stuff, we're now a couple days in. Have you guys had a chance to wander around the floor and take a look at vendors? Any little vendors or any surprises from big vendors even that you saw, or anything even on the floor just that you thought was different?
The physical data Ninja Warrior booth that they have, that
Primary
thing is
data,
awesome.
yeah.
Primary data. That booth is awesome.
I'm not quite sure what the concept was. I get what they were trying to do. Getting a bunch of IT nerds to hang from things and try to move across an obstacle course seems a little off base to me.
Yeah, we're normally not in shape for that type of Ninja Warrior stuff, so...
Would it be more like
Maybe
the grab the
Julian?
log thing and just roll down that? Because that one, I think more IT guys could get that one. Like,
Well, tell me if they've done something wrong when you've just asked a question about which company of the whole entire ecosystem floor, and they've got mentioned. So
Yeah,
okay,
I guess they
but
made
here's the
their,
question,
they
though.
made their point,
do
but
the three of you know what they do?
no idea.
No.
I don't think they really made their point.
it's got to be storage and data.
Well,
with
it's the
53
VMworld show. So
Yeah. 53, I believe, this year.
53 storage vendors?
Yes,
'Cause we need more.
absolutely not.
Eventually we can hit 100. I mean, okay, other than that, I agree. I mean, it was a cool booth, and from what I heard from the guys over there, it was things shouldn't be this hard, so we'll just have something fun, and you can just look at it, and that should tell you it's easy. I don't know that it kind of got that across, but it is different. It got everyone's attention. Anything else? Any small vendors? Anybody you saw that surprised you, or anybody that wasn't there?
Obviously, Pernix data. We all know about that.
Well, that was, and I mean, we can dig into that one for a sec. What's
Who?
everybody think of why this buyout? Why is this good for Nutanix?
I think
Well-
there are a number of reasons. Satyam Vagani, who started Pernix Data, was the guy who wrote and designed virtual volumes. He probably knows as much about the VMware storage stack as anybody else.
So that'll work great with Acropolis?
No, not at all, but it quite possibly can be redone for that as well. But I do think that the actual Pernix Kever IP and being able to do a unlimited scale cache, and they've got some clever stuff that normally in a distributed system you've got to tell each node the updates. Well, Pernix has got some clever stuff where you don't have to tell each node the updates, which means it's hugely scalable. So I think that kind of stuff is in there. Pernix was always a fantastic company. Unfortunately, with a bit of a legacy use case to make your storage faster. As soon as all flash arrays came out, the benefit of Pernix wasn't quite there, even though they had technology for doing the same thing in memory. So yeah, it could be interesting to see what Nutanix does with it. Be interesting, but they've bought some clever technology.
That's my confusion, I think. So, if it's no longer relevant, why did they buy it?
So I have a theory on that. If you guys,
Okay.
So they both have the same VC funds, and the VC that was backing Pernix was not going to get their money back. So if you move that money from your right pocket to your left and then see what you can do with it when you put them with somebody that might make them some money, why not give it a shot instead of losing the money I just put into these guys?
Okay.
Well, I've got one extra thing to say about
Apparently that's not a horrible theory, because everyone here is shaking their head.
Pernix was caching.
It's the only thing I can come up with.
Pernix was caching data on a host from an external SAN, but part of Nutanix's third pillar of what they're going to do is make clouds invisible. The problem with making clouds invisible is there is a long network with some latency between your data center and the cloud. So if you can cache cloud stuff from your on-premises to AWS/Azure or something, potentially you could store all your VMs in AWS or even SoftLayer or any of that kind of thing, but actually have them running on-premises. That's potentially a use case for Pernix's cache.
What's your thought down there? You're very quiet about this.
I think Julian is right on his point there. I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about the whole Pernix thing. I really like the solution. We're using it in one of our environments, but I think it was a little bit late to the market.
I don't think anyone ever doubted whether it was good tech.
Exactly.
Everyone I ever know chooses thought
I
it was good tech.
think it was good, yeah.
The architect product is amazing. The data that you can get from it, and it tells you about your environment, it's just amazing.
So is that a piece that you think Nutanix won? Is that part of the reason?
Yes. I really hope that they take that and integrate that and use that or even maybe just sell that as a third product. Yeah. Because I think that's an amazing product. But the thing about Architect, though, you have to have the FVP. So
they got to find some way to get that blended in, or else.
Exactly.
Okay. So we obviously Pernix wasn't on the floor, but anybody else that you saw? Did you guys do this? I always like to do the small little guys on the outside to see if there's somebody new that I didn't necessarily know, somebody interesting. Anybody jump out at you guys? That's really sad.
Not yet, but funny enough, some of the companies you can't even work out what they do, and that's so unfortunate when you see their sign, and I can't think of an example, but I did see, I think, 2 or 3 where you see the sign and you even read the tagline and it's completely meaningless, and you think, am I going to spend the time, effort, and bother to go and ask them what they even do? So yeah, that's
and to then not understand whatever pitch they try to give you that doesn't actually tell you anyway.
Yeah, there wasn't enough funds left to tell you what it does. They just bought the booth space. That's it.
But it still shows the ecosystem is alive and well. There are so many, even small players, so many booths. So things are still good.
Do you think that the booths are there and people are there because they feel like they have to be at this show, but they're not going to get their return on their investment from it?
Possibly. I think
I'm probably not VMware's
this may be the
favorite
only
person today, am I?
This may be the only opportunity for some of these people to talk to a whole bunch of customers, unless they do the VMAX circuits. So yeah, I mean, even if they get 10, 20 leads, it's the kind of thing they can, even from questions, potential customers are going to come up and ask questions, and that's going to feed back into product development. So yeah, some of these booths I know are set up on a bit of a fact-finding mission to find out what our customers' pain points, rather than here's our great solution.
That may be a good angle for actually us to reverse engineer that. As a VMUG leader, maybe I need to go down to that row and start talking to these guys and seeing, who actually has something that could bring value to, people I know in my VMUG community. Maybe kind of, flip the script on it and use it that way.
As opposed to them pushing you.
As opposed to them pushing me. Maybe I go down there and tell them I have nothing to give. I don't have any swag, but, you want to spend some money with me?
Walk down. Would you like to spend some money with me? No, you can't scan me. That should be your answer the whole time. So a lot of we've got vendors, we saw the announcements. We've talked so many times on this that the core to VMworld a lot at this point is about the networking. It's about the time outside of sessions. It's the time outside of the show floor. Are there things that are going on tonight or over the last couple of nights where you've spent time with the other people that you think is really valuable or that you're looking forward to?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the key things. Literally just sitting down at lunch and making a point to sit next to someone you don't know, or queuing up at the bar at some sort of party, and some guy or lady's ordering a drink next to you, and just literally a 1-minute conversation, and what products are you using, how are you using it, are the products good or are the products bad? And that if you talk to 10 or 20 people over the course of a few days, you're going to start even getting just a little tiny metric of, if you're thinking of looking at vSAN, NSX, vRealize, all this kind of thing, you can actually get a very quick and simple feel for whether you should progress looking at the products.
Yeah, I think it's super important, the networking part, especially hang space. First year that I came to VMworld, I ran around crazy, went to every session possible, and then I went home and I forgot everything that I had seen. I took a couple notes.
I think that's what everyone does.
I couldn't
the
even
first
make
time
out what was going on. Second year, I spent 95% of the time in hang space and met people, made networks, actually helped me switch different job. So, things can happen.
We're not supposed to talk about that.
That's totally fine if you need to switch jobs, people. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Take care of your family. With that said, make sure you meet someone new.
Wasn't
at least
me,
if it's
everyone.
someone
That
new
was
on
not
Twitter.
me.
If it disclaimer. If it's someone new on Twitter, or just like Julian said, stopping at the bar, making a friend, definitely do that. Sit down at a table where you don't know people. I know it's kind of hard for sometimes IT guys who are like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm just going to go sit in a corner, check my email, and eat this sandwich real quick. So definitely get out there, get into hang space, meet people, even the bloggers. Don't be afraid of those guys.
They're kind of scary.
It's really cool. Right? Right,
Wow.
blogger?
As he ignores you. Yeah, really cool.
I was trying not to
Unfollow.
be scary.
Yeah, I love the VM Village this year and how much stuff is in here, and there's all this open space, and it's just nice
It's
for...
the longest foosball table I've ever seen.
It's the what?
The longest foosball table I've ever seen.
Never seen that.
I've
Crazy.
never seen a foosball that's like 12 people long.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a good environment for us to hang out and network with people, and it's cool. And it's close to the meals. You don't have to walk all over the place. So yeah, this is a really cool environment.
So one of the challenges I think a lot of people have on coming to conferences is their bosses don't love them going because it's a week of them being away from their day-to-day, which often it is. You get a lot of time away from it. How do you guys keep up, and what would you tell people as advice on how to keep up with some of that day-to-day? Some things are going to slide, but how do you keep up as much as you can with your day-to-day back home while you're here and going crazy hours?
Tell your boss that you're not actually doing a day-to-day job when you're here. VMworld is crazy, crazy busy. You're actually wasting your company's money by coming here and checking your work email. None of us should really be in a job that is panic stations if you're not there. Your boss can give you a call, but I would tell people part of the reason for coming to a conference is to be here, to learn from sessions and talk to people. If you're spending half your time, catching up on emails back at the real job, your boss has messed up sending you to VMworld.
How many of you have checked your work email since you've been here?
Me.
Really?
Did I care what it said? No.
It's fine to sort of
File-
keep up
file
to
it,
date,
yeah.
but if you really
You watch
having
for
to
the
do a
fire
lot of
drill.
work.
Right, there's no mission critical stuff, and you should, like Julian said, you should treat this like a training session. If you're going to an ICM class, you're probably gone and you're not talking to your boss. And if you need to, it's super important if he's calling you, or like you said, maybe that's not the right boss for you. Then that's why you make friends down here.
Or the right job and find
yeah.
another job. I mean,
Allegedly.
I've heard that can happen at these shows.
But yeah,
Rumors.
stay focused on learning here, get the most out of coming here. If that's meeting people, if that's learning something new, if that's going to a booth that you've never been to because you're confused on how their stuff works, do something and take something back home from you, even if it's something small.
Yeah, I always love going to the expert-led hands-on labs. You got the people who created those labs there, so if you have questions about the labs, they're there to answer them.
So a lot of people will go, but I can do the hands-on labs all year. I can do them when I get home.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, but the expert labs are just cool because if you have a question about a certain part in the lab that you don't understand why it's done that way, or you just have questions in general, the people who created them are there. So yeah, it's just.
So does that help as a justification for people on why to actually come here? Because I've heard multiple people, I'm not going. Well, now that they have the hands-on labs and I can just watch recordings, the boss won't justify me going.
Yeah, it could be one small piece of justification. Yeah, so it's.
How many of you really have to justify hard to your bosses to get here?
In the past, yes.
What was your justification?
I treated it as a training class. So I said, last year you sent me to the 2 or 3 training classes. That was 2 or 3 times as much as sending me to San Francisco. So send me once, and I won't go to an ICM class, or I won't take anything until the following year, and kind of push that off. That worked well for the first year. Then the second year, they wanted to see a report of what I actually learned. So I took the notes. I came back. Didn't do a whole slideshow of everything, but just gave a high level of what we could use.
You left out that meeting the guy at the bar part?
Yeah. No, that wasn't my tab. No. Just a little bit of justification, so I could say I'm giving a little bit back to my company. They've spent money to send me here, so I can't just freeload, hang out in hang space and not do something technical. So I wanted to bring something back of value for that company to show that I was a worthy employee of going.
Yeah, I think that was one. How do you transfer the knowledge and the things you learn here, the networking, the connections, the information? How do you transfer that back to your companies?
Well, now that I'm on the consulting side, I would like to sit down with some of the sales guys and kind of go through, things that they should be focusing on and kind of get that to them. I think high level is important.
Keep in mind, you can't fix stupid.
Sure, we know that, yeah. And you can't sell...
Might be the theme for the day.
You can't sell a box of this unless it's HCI, right? No.
Well, luckily all the sessions are recorded, and everything here is recorded. So, I mean, you just show people back at your workplace that what sessions to watch, what get them interested in. All the keynotes are recorded. There's so much that's online. So if you're not here, you can still, get a lot of information about what happened here. So I think that's how you have to get the people that didn't make it here involved in that and learn.
So last question for the day then. What's your favorite thing about, I already know what you don't like about being in Vegas. What's your absolute favorite thing about this being in Vegas right now?
You can't get bored in Vegas. I enjoy the conference in San Francisco. It's a bit more compact. Vegas is still cool. You walk through all the hotels and things. It's crazy big and bling, but it's still fun. I mean, I think from a
big and bling, huh?
That's what it is. I think from the conference today, I enjoyed the keynote a bit more this morning. I think I found yesterday's keynote just a bunch of mixed messages about we're still not sure what this cloud thing is. We know what this cloud thing is, but we have no idea what we're going to sell to do it. This morning was a bit more practical of we've got vSAN, we've got NSX, the whole cloud native stuff. I think VMware is a bit slow on that, but I can see them doing a huge amount of work, so I'll give them a little bit of leeway. I was a bit disappointed to see that vSphere integrated containers has only moved from private beta to public beta. That should really come out by now.
But Gmail was in beta for 14 years.
True, but it was free. It is open source. I suppose you can go and do your own thing with it. I was disappointed that Docker wasn't on stage today. I thought today's was very much about the operational aspect of containers, but there was no love from the developer side, and containers is going to be all run by developers, and the adoption is going to be driven by developers. And I know we need to do the boring operational stuff, but I wanted to see some cool, sexy demos with NSX and containers and all that kind of stuff from a developer's point of view, and then flipping over to the ops point of view, going, oh, look how awesome this looks in vSphere. So that was just my impression, but it was a nicer keynote than yesterday, which wasn't hard to be fair.
Favorite thing about Vegas?
I like Vegas. I like San Francisco better. There's nicer things. I think I like to be outdoors and that side of
have fresh air.
Fresh air, not desert dust, that dry heat, right? I think Vegas, it's blingy, but if you're not drawn into the gambling or you're tired of the smoke, I think there's other things you could do. There's some good shows out here to see. I would say I'm a little bit disappointed, and that's just, sorry to the Barcelona crew, but I'd like to see those Barcelona announcements here. Sorry, just America, But, no, teasing. I'm not able to go to Barcelona this year, so
I know there were quite a few of those. The PMs that I talked to at VMworld really wanted to pull that in, and they just were not
I don't think it's going to work.
To this.
But in respect to that, I don't think there's been much Barcelona huge announcements over the last couple years. So
and that show has shrunk.
It's usually
to the point that maybe they need some big.
Yeah, I think they need a big announcement out there. So hopefully that increases that show as well. outside of that, I'm just here to check out some hang space, some new Horizon stuff, and make sure I can understand how those things all work together.
Quickly,
So,
what are your
yeah.
thoughts on the whole Horizon one in the demo this morning? Is that something you're seeing or deploying, or you're just using Horizon View and the rest of it is?
So personally, I haven't done any Workspace ONE deployments. That may change this year. I've seen some things in the pipeline with that, but I haven't, seen small customers. Obviously, we're a small, medium kind of chaser. But I do see healthcare possibly, going that direction. I think the identity management piece is really cool. I think that everything ties back into the ID and single sign-on. I think that's super important going forward for every industry. So.
Okay, we know what you don't like.
The one thing I do like is the good choice of food. Yeah, there's a lot of good buffets out there.
Oh yeah, compared to Moscone, this is night and day.
Pretty good
Yeah.
sushi for a landlocked place, huh?
I lived in Japan for 6 years, so
Oh, okay.
it's
I'll
hard to
take
find
that
good
back.
sushi, but there's some pretty good sushi here.
Yeah, I don't do Maryland crab cakes here
Yeah.
either. No. Well, guys, thank you again. Great little chat with you. Thanks for everybody watching. And we will be back actually tomorrow. I will not be on. Shane Williford, Cool Sport, will be leading the discussion. But it should be great. So thank you guys. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.